Imagine for a moment that you wake up tomorrow morning, walk into your kitchen, and make breakfast without even thinking about checking your blood sugar. You don't reach for a sensor, you don't calculate carbs, and you definitely don't touch a needle for over 100 years. This kind of freedom has been nothing more than a heartbreaking dream for millions of us. But what if I told you that in 2025, the word cure is finally graduating from a whisper to a reality? We are living through a year where biology and technology are colliding to rewrite the human operating system. And the breakthroughs we're seeing right now aren't just about managing diabetes better, they are about ending the need for management altogether. Before we dive deep into this incredible journey through the future of your health, and I want to invite you to join our community here. If you believe that knowledge is the first step to healing, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps get this hopeful message to the people who need it most. And if you want to stay on the cutting edge of these medical breakthroughs, consider subscribing so we can take this journey together. Now, I want to be completely transparent with you because your health is sacred. Everything we are discussing today is grounded in serious, peer-reviewed science from 2025 involving major breakthroughs from institutions like Vertex Pharmaceuticals, major universities, and FDA trials. I'm going to share the facts as they are, but remember, I am a voice for this research, not your personal doctor. So please use the trusted sources linked in the description below to verify everything you hear and discuss it with your own medical team. Let's start with the absolute biggest news that has shaken the medical world this year. Something that feels like science fiction, but is happening in real patients right now for decades. The problem with type 1 diabetes was that the body's immune system had destroyed the beta cells that make insulin, and we had no way to replace them without relying on organ donors. But in 2025, we have seen results from Vertex Pharmaceuticals that are nothing short of miraculous, specifically regarding a therapy called Zimislecel, and scientists have figured out how to take stem cells, those blank slate cells that can become anything, and coach them in a lab to become fully functional insulin-producing islet cells. When these lab-grown cells were given to patients in clinical trials, people who had struggled with severe, life-threatening lows for years, the results were stunning. We aren't talking about a small improvement. We are seeing reports where the vast majority of patients in the trial became completely insulin independent. Imagine that people who had been tethered to pumps and pens for years were suddenly making their own insulin again, with their blood sugar staying in a perfect, healthy range as if they never had diabetes. This is what doctors are now calling a functional cure, because while the disease isn't technically gone from their genes, its impact on their daily life has effectively vanished. But there has always been a catch with these transplants. You usually have to take powerful drugs to stop your immune system from attacking the new cells, just like with a kidney transplant. And that is where the genius of CRISPR gene editing comes in, specifically with a new generation of cells that are being engineered to be invisible. Think of it like a Klingon cloaking device from Star Trek. Scientists are using gene editing to snip out the proteins on the surface of these cells that act as flags for the immune system, effectively hiding them from your white blood cells. This means we are moving toward a future where you could receive a simple infusion of these cells. They would set up shop in your body and you wouldn't need to take any immunosuppressive drugs at all. While some scientists are working on replacing cells, others are completely reinventing insulin itself, transforming it from a dumb drug that works the same way every time into a smart system that thinks for itself. And one of the most fascinating developments of 2025 is a new oral insulin. Yes, a pill, not a shot, that uses a unique worm-like molecular structure to survive the harsh acid of your stomach. And once this molecule gets absorbed, it doesn't just flood your system, it travels to the liver and sits there in a dormant depot waiting for a signal. And here's the brilliant part. And this stored insulin in the liver is chemically bound to a sensor that detects glucose. When you eat a meal and your blood sugar spikes, the glucose molecules themselves act like a key, unlocking the insulin from its depot instantly. It is a perfect self-regulating loop where the insulin is only released exactly when you need it, and the second your blood sugar drops back to normal and the release stops, this mimics the natural way a healthy pancreas works almost perfectly, preventing those dangerous lows that keep so many of us awake at night. So if a pill isn't your preference, imagine slapping a tiny patch the size of a quarter onto your arm and forgetting about it for days. This isn't a CGM. This is a delivery system covered in microscopic needles, so small you can't even feel them, that are loaded with insulin and glucose sensing enzymes. And in 2025, we are seeing these smart patches reach a level of sophistication where they act like an artificial pancreas right on your skin. The gel inside the patch senses a rise in blood sugar and expands to release insulin, then shrinks back down to stop the flow when your levels stabilize, giving you automated control without a single wire or battery. Now, let's pivot away from high-tech pharmaceuticals for a moment, because one of the most exciting discoveries of 2025 is actually a movement you can do right now while you're sitting down watching this video. It is called the Soleus Pushup, and it targets a very specific muscle in your calf called the soleus, which researchers have found is unlike any other muscle in the body. While most muscles run on stored sugar called glycogen, the soleus is designed to pull glucose and fats directly out of your bloodstream to keep working for hours without ever getting tired. And the technique is incredibly simple, but very specific. You sit with your feet flat on the floor and you raise your heels up high while keeping your toes planted. And the magic happens and you let your heel drop back down passively, just letting gravity do the work. This unique motion triggers a metabolic state that can lower blood sugar spikes by over 50% and double your fat metabolism, all without you breaking a sweat or needing to go to the gym. It is effectively a way to turn your metabolism back on, even while you are stuck at a desk or on the couch. Speaking of natural solutions, 2025 has brought us a fascinating botanical breakthrough from the arid deserts of Western China. A fruit known as Nitraria roborowskii, or the desert berry, scientists have isolated an extract from this resilient plant, and that seems to fix one of the broken communication lines in type 2 diabetes. In insulin resistance, the cell stops listening to insulin's knock at the door, but this berry extract effectively picks the lock, reactivating the signaling pathway that allows sugar to enter the cell. Even when insulin isn't working well, it's not just the desert berry. We are seeing rigorous new data on two things. Might already have in your kitchen saffron and lemon balm. Saffron has been shown to act like a shield for your pancreas, protecting those precious beta cells from the stress and toxicity that usually kills them over time. And when you combine that with lemon balm, which helps smooth out glucose spikes and lower inflammation, you get a powerful natural adjunct therapy that supports your body's ability to heal itself from the inside out. We can't talk about saying goodbye to needles without addressing the technology we use to monitor our levels. For years, we've been promised a watch that can read blood sugar without a poke, and in 2025, that technology is finally crossing the finish line. Companies like No Labs and often are moving beyond the optical sensors that failed in the past and are using radio waves and microwave technology to see your glucose levels through your skin. Finally, there is huge hope for those who are just beginning this journey or who have family members at risk. We are seeing a massive expansion in immunotherapies like teplizumab and a drug called Baricitinib, which was originally for arthritis, and a major study called BANDIT showed that a simple daily pill could preserve the body's own insulin production in newly diagnosed patients. This means we aren't just treating the fire after it has burned the house down. We are learning how to put the fire out while the structure is still standing. So when we look at 2025, we aren't just looking at one new drug or one new gadget. We are witnessing a convergence, a moment where biology, technology, and nature are all arriving at the same destination at the same time, whether it is stem cells that restore what was lost, smart patches that automate the work, or physiological hacks that wake up your metabolism. The toolkit for living with and potentially beating diabetes has never been this powerful. I hope you feel that sense of hope today, because it is real and it is backed by science You are not alone in this fight, and the future is getting brighter by the day. Stay curious, stay empowered, and keep taking those small steps toward your health. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.